And now, stand and cheer for your Talking Basketball Podcast.
Hello, welcome to another edition of Talking Basketball Podcast. I am Mark.
I am Paul.
Another episode. Just keep racking them out, don't we? Hello and welcome back anyway. If you haven't joined us before, thank you for listening. I know Paul said it in the last one, but we are ever appreciative of anyone who takes the time to listen to us gabbling on about basketball and various things.
Over 25,000 listeners.
Yeah, fantastic.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. But we do want to hear from you. We do want to get some DMs. We want to get some Instagram, emails, of course, goes without saying. ukbasketballpodcast@gmail.com. So send us in just anything. We don't care. Abuse.
Have you had 1,000 emails for a team yet?
No, haven't had 1,000 emails for a team. If you want to get me to select a team for the BBL, you're the ones who are driving that.
Please just email it, Mark. Even if just
spam
email him, just to annoy him.
Yeah, it will annoy me. So please spam me, and that'll be great.
White Lions. Just like that.
So, BBL this week. It's been a good week.
It has been a fantastic week.
How fantastic.
I don't know what you want me to say to that. It's been a really exciting week.
Well, you kick it off.
You want me to kick it off?
Yeah.
Wow. I am going to talk about the Crown has got another dent. The Crown has taken another dent. Clearly, we're talking about the London Lions. It was what I liked about London Lions coming up against the Eagles. My mindset was on the last game at the Copper Box, which was a absolute classic, and we had that argument that potentially the Eagles let that one go in the fourth quarter. I think.
Yeah, they did.
I can't remember. I think they were up by like 12 with 5 minutes left, something like that, and went to overtime. I think they went 109, 104. But you got to talk about for that game, Matt Morgan. Remember, he had 9 threes.
It was like their depth that kept them in the game.
Yeah, and then 11 days later, that was the one I said. Remember, I said, the season's over if they win at the Eagles' Nest, and they beat the Eagles 99-86. So, that's the history between these two teams. So, it was going to clearly be a good game if anything from the last showdown at the Copper Box was to go by. Yeah. Lions undefeated in the last 7 at home.
Yeah.
14 consecutive games undefeated at the Copper Box. The last time they lost at the Copper Box was in March. I think March 16th or March 19th. Can't remember, but it was in March. So you got to say that Newcastle made those London fans sweat a little bit in the, with them taking to overtime. So, Newcastle got 4 wins in a row after Keith White comes on the podcast. So anyone near Keith White, you give him a high five, because
that's the lucky mascot.
Since he's come on the show, Newcastle have just turned into bloody a juggernaut.
Yeah.
So anyway,
some would say he could be the mascot.
The last time we got on the show, we were saying that the Eagles had that huge win in Caledonia. So what I got to say about this game is Newcastle kicked off from the start. Absolutely superb. Their heads were on from the first whistle. I know London fans, you're going to be commenting that they did play the day before, but look, the Eagles can only play the team that's in front of them, and I would argue that back-to-back games are kind of normal now, really. As part of the scheduling,
yeah.
Especially if you in Europe and stuff like that. That's kind of what happens. So yeah, it was an absolutely superb performance by the Eagles. We got to talk about Jordan Johnson with 25.6 assists, 3 rebounds, and 4 steals.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
And Jordan Walsh-Hibbett with 23 points and 4 rebounds. I just spat at you there.
Yeah, Didn't entirely appreciate it.
And also there was a really fantastic play by Taj Green. You know what I really liked about this play? I mean, I'm sure you know what it is. I've seen this a lot online. Was Darius Defoe. He starts with like a little tip steal. I love it when defense turns to offense. Anyway, Darius Defoe gets the steal. Ricky McGill gets the ball, brings it up the court. Great, beautiful side pass. Taj Green jumps. Boom!
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, I think Taj Green needs to send an apology note to that ring because he destroyed it. He absolutely destroyed it. And they grabbed the win 102-80. So the crown has been dented again. This is Newcastle. This is for you. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. Damn it. Newcastle. Just pretend this didn't happen, Newcastle. Newcastle, this is for you.
Well, that wasn't the first matchup as well. I actually had written down about that McGill pass, the 3 legs pass to tap, but there was also another McGill and Green combo. They seem to really, they really seem to link together, don't they? Very well.
Yeah, and you got to, hang on, before I go any further, just a little bit of Irish crickets here.
Lovely.
There we go. You got another shout out to Ricky McGill because the Newcastle Eagles, obviously, they're going arguably the hardest away fixture in the season. I thought that was Caledonia, but London Caledonia, both of them. Yeah. Anyway, they then stay on the road for Surrey, and they get 187 win. And look, I know Scorchers are down the lower end of the table, but last 3 games they've won 2 of them, and their winning form was pretty good. So, but Ricky McGill, in particular, in that game, he had 30 points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds, and 4 steals.
Really,
I'm
very excited about it. Both 100-point games as well. They're both tipping over 100 on there because we've seen a couple of games where they've been quite low. So it's nice seeing a high-scoring game.
Yeah, and you know what? The one thing I really liked about this game when I was watching it, one player that stood out for me, do you know when you're just watching a game, you just have a rapport for a certain player and you don't know what it was?
Yeah.
I really like Larry Austin Jr. He is just pure hustle, pure focus. Love him. Actually, my note I wrote down was Mr. Hustle next to him when I was watching the game. But he had 14 points, 3 assists and 3 steals and 2 rebounds.
Yeah, I mean, that was, I think that what was good about that was Newcastle lost that last game that they played there.
So at the Copper Box?
Yeah, so then to go and actually take it again at that.
Yeah.
That's and it wasn't they lost it because they had a few many games in a row or anything. It's like, no, you lost the game. The end.
And you know what? Just going back to Larry Austin Jr. I don't know why this play stood out, but he had the ball and a foul got called against him. He got sent to the line. Bam, hits the first one. He misses the second one. What does he do? He goes and gets his own rebound. Bam, with his aggression. Nice. What does he see? Bam, pass down low. Oh, who did he pass it down to? Might have been Taj Green. Can't remember. And he gets an assist. And he's my kind of player. Loved it. But, you know, Newcastle now have got 6 wins in a row. They're up to 4th in the league. Yeah. Whatever is in the water, up in Newcastle. Keep drinking that. But we know what's up in Newcastle, Mark. And that's Keith White for coming on this podcast.
That is Keith.
Look, if we keep saying his name, they're going to keep winning. Let's see how long. We should call this the Keith White Newcastle streak. So, big shout out to the Newcastle Bold Eagles and Keith White.
That could also mean that Keith is streaking in Newcastle, though. So,
potentially.
Yeah, maybe if you get 10 in a row, Keith will streak. Who knows?
Yes.
That's you got to make that happen, Keith.
Yeah, let's see. So, anyway, that's mine. Well, Newcastle on form, the informed team.
You know what? I've got one now. As you're talking about Newcastle moving up to 4th, I'm going to talk about someone who was in 4th and is now down in 6th, and that is Bristol Flyers.
Yeah, they're...
don't know what's going on there. I really don't know what's going on there. I tried working it out. I think they've had a few injuries. I think they're just some gelling not going well. So
hang on, that was your research from last week. You had to work out what it was.
Yeah, I still can't work it out.
Or was that my research?
No, I still can't work it out. What I have noticed is they've got a guy called CJ Jackson. So CJ Jackson, what was interesting is he used to play for Leicester Riders last year, and he was brought in from the States.
Yeah, something happened. I can't remember what, but something happened.
He had a really bad motorcycle accident, and then when he came to the Riders, he wasn't fully fit. So he tried pushing it, and he did okay, but he just wasn't match fit. So Leicester let him go. He got picked up by Bristol, and he's played more games with Bristol. So that's something I read, that he's played more games with them than he has actually gone to practices with Bristol.
Wow, why is that?
Just
Is
because
he new?
because he's just come into the team quite recently, and he seems to be picking up and doing okay. But fundamentally, Bristol are just free falling. I mean, that was your word from last week, and I think that it really is apt. They played against Sheffield. It was it was an okay game to watch, that's for sure. There were definitely some highlights. Probably the highlight there, I think you would have seen it, was Mr. Pipkins with his dunk. Did you see that?
That did not go down well, I don't think. It looked like, I'm going to say this frankly, because I think that's what our listeners enjoy. It looked like there's a bit of tension between the two teams by that point. I can't remember the player, but they just looked pissed off.
Yeah, they were. What's funny is that you got enough space, and the score was 88-78. That doesn't reflect the game. That score should have been a lot wider, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what's going on with Bristol. I mean, Sheffield, they're in third place. They're not a weak team. You can't put it on there. But Bristol have just fallen.
I've got a soft spot for the Sharks, Mark. I do like Sheffield.
Yeah. Another one I want to highlight was Kipper Nichols. Great name, Kipper. What a name. But he actually did this it was kind of like I want to say a LeBron, one of those turn and fadeaways, LeBron kind of Kobe-esque sort of thing. He hit this beautiful fadeaway. And between that and Pipkins and some of the other passing moves, you've got to look at that game and think it was just, they were better quality. Yeah. There was no way around it. It was just, you are playing a better quality team here.
Well, I didn't realise you were doing this game, so I watched a big chunk of this game, and one of the things my note for this game was Tevin Ollison, 23 points, 1 rebound, 4 assists, 1 steal. This is for Bristol Flyers.
For Bristol, yeah.
Brad Green, 16 points, 8 rebounds, 1 assist.
Yep.
That, I don't think I'm being unfair. I'm kind of summing up Bristol Flyers there.
Yep.
Now, excuse me. In contrast, for the Sheffield Sharks, Koch, 15 points.
Yep.
Ramsey, 12 points. Pipkins, Jalen Pipkins, 13 points.
He's a really exciting
Nichols,
player to watch.
11 points. Glasgow Junior, 17 points.
Yeah.
Can see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you had...
It always is adding up with all of these games. Is what seems to be... We had that last week with Cheshire, and it was just when you get that extra player, you just need 1 or 2 extra players that are getting double digits and contributing. That's what's getting your win. And Bristol at the moment, it's just fallen on 2 or 3 people, and you think, yeah, I don't know why that's happening.
I 100% agree with you. Yeah. So it looked like that was 2 players were doing the contribution.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, in contrast, like there's a huge no one else was in double digits for Bristol other than 2 players.
No.
But again,
I really liked the look of Bristol going into this. Going into this when we've started looking into the BBL and getting excited about it.
Yeah,
just from looking at the teams from the outside, Bristol were one of my top because I loved the way that they presented themselves. I like the images.
You like Bristol from the start.
Really liked,
I can see that.
Of course, and I've got a bit of background with Filton and that sort of thing, so it's like I like that. And they were up there contending in 2nd place, and then 3 weeks ago, then they were down to 3rd. Then they're down to 4th last week. Now they've dropped to 6th. You go, that's 3 weeks that you're just getting hammered and hammered and hammered. And in the same weeks, then we're talking about Newcastle, where they're on a 6-game streak, and you think,
but you know what I like about it?
it's moving. It's all moving.
That's what I like about it. And when you take, I'm trying not to be mean here, but when you take out the London Lions, the rest of it is, the word I'd use is so fluid.
You mean the 2023 champions?
Yes. Yeah. Like when you take them out, it's so fluid. Like we were talking about Newcastle Eagles, what was in 8th?
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
And Bristol were in 2nd at a certain point. And now look, the league is so fluid.
Go back to week 6 right here, look, 7th. In week 7. And we're now week 11.
You need to work on your arm muscles, Mark. Your bloody arms are shaking trying to hold that laptop up.
Listen, 2 fingers. What can I say? There you go. Try again. Look, 2 fingers. Look at that.
Wow.
But yeah, that's 7th. And that was 7 weeks ago. If I then go back and we go 8 weeks.
Sorry, Newcastle 7th.
7th.
Yeah.
And that was even 8. So that's 3 weeks ago. And in those 3 weeks, they've moved from 7th to 6th. And then they just done a massive piggy jump from last week, going from 6, bang, right up to 4th.
I'm not a huge fan of the logo, but I do have a soft spot for Newcastle. It's probably because of Keith, but I do have a soft spot. So I'm glad they're doing well.
I think the arena looks great. And all those pictures that Keith was showing us, it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
And obviously the stadium and everything. And they've got a massive heritage. You can't argue that.
But Bristol, I hope it turns around. I agree.
It's just really
it
strange
looks like
to go from
looks like a great club.
And, they've got that affiliation. They do some really good stuff with the sport in the local, everything. It's just really odd seeing it go from there, bang, just drop through the floor.
I hope the Bristol Flyers intro, it sounds like jet engines as the players come out. Or they go old school. They go old school, like they get like the old Lancaster bomb, getting louder and louder and louder. Or they could start it with the old siren. The old World War II siren? For the bombers are coming.
I mean, that might give a few people PTSD, so I'm not sure that's a good idea.
I think they'd all be dead by now. I don't think we need to worry about that. Isn't it? But 80 years ago?
You think that whole freefall that they've been in, again, going and playing against Sheffield, it just, the score just doesn't reflect that game. Sheffield could have, I'd probably put another 10 on that, I reckon, without too much hassle.
Wow. Well, you're right. I am a fan of it. Jalen Pipkins. I really hope to see him
Sheffield
in the
look
All-Star
a great
game.
team. They really do look like a great team. And it's fair to say they've sort of mid-contention and have moved up as it goes. But that was my one for this week.
Nice. Well, anything about the Sharks, Mark, it's always is welcome.
Always.
I've got a really short one.
That's what she said.
I'm going to go for this. And that buzzer was for Princeton Onwas from Caledonia. He did what I would describe. On here, I talk about checks. I'll normally say, he checked him. I'm going to talk about the rejection that Onwas did. I think it was on Cam Christon. And look, he hit that bloody ball out of space. He put a bit of sauce on it. Something upset him. I don't know what it was, but that was a great rejection. That was like
one of those LeBron sort of takedowns where they run down the court after him, chase him down.
What a great rejection. And it was like, I think...
he's a big unit as well.
Cam Christon was through. He was through. And you know what? Princeton Onwas just came from nowhere. Just, hey, you going to go for a shot? No. Boom!
Well, some could argue.
Get out of it.
He took too long. He hesitated too long just going up for that shot. But, we're picking holes there.
But
that was great defense, not poor offense, I'd like to say.
Yes, but I will add, it wasn't enough for the Gladiators. They lost 92-83.
You took the wind out my sails.
No. Oh, well, you carry on. You carry on with that story.
Because
Cheshire.
Yeah, because that's the thing. So that's when they were playing against Cheshire. And, the Gladiators played against Cheshire. And the funny thing was, when they played, that was a home game in PlaySport Arena, and they lost. So Cheshire won the away game. Gladiators lost the home game. Fast forward a few days, and then the roles are reversed. Cheshire are hosting to the Gladiators. So, and then the Gladiators won that game, 82-92. So literally, they've just swapped having a home win for an away win, which has got to be good. And that was like an 82-92, 10-point clear, about the same as what they did 83-92. So it was almost a perfect swap.
Yeah, and the Gladiators, they were doing so well, and then they got that loss at home. I think they were second at one point. Now they dropped to what? Fifth
at the moment.
Yeah. And you're looking at that going, oh right, what's happened there?
8 wins, 5 losses.
Cheshire, consistent.
And look,
Consistency. Are they up to third or second now?
They're second because.
Oh, nice.
So at the moment, the league as it stands.
Oh, they got 4 losses. Yes, 4 losses.
Because they've got 5 losses. Cheshire have, because they got Caledonia beat them. So that's their 5th loss.
Okay.
So they've got 10 wins and 5 losses. London Lions are ahead with 14-2. Then Sheffield Sharks in third at 9-6. Newcastle Eagles 9-7. Caledonia 8-5. Bristol Flyers 8-8, which is interesting. You know, if you say in the NBA, I'm 0.5, I'm 50%, that's playoffs kind of level.
Yeah.
So that's not that it's anything to be sniffed at. It's just there are some better stats above them. Leicester Riders 7-7, 50% as well. So suddenly Bristol could be switching to Leicester very quickly.
Yeah.
And then Surrey in 8th with 5-11. There's a little bit of a gap there. Manchester 4-11 and 9th, and Plymouth bringing up the rear with 2-14.
But look, Plymouth City Patriots, don't worry about that because you got Pat Riots.
Yeah.
No one else has got Pat Riots other than you. So
what's quite nice is if you say I'm 2-14 and London are 14-2, but one of the 2s from London's is one of Plymouth's number 2. One of their wins is one of Lions' losses.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's great.
That's nice to say.
Hey, look, and it was Plymouth who got that first dent in the crown.
Yep.
And the Eagles get a second dent. However, I'm still standing by my guns. Give them the league trophy now. If they lose another 2, maybe. But look, we're approaching. How many have they played? 14, 15?
In total now, 16 London have played, 15 Cheshire, 15 Sharks.
So we're approaching the halfway mark
almost
of the
halfway,
season. So, I mean, it's over, really, isn't it?
It is.
But you never know. You never know. If with these fixtures that they're getting, you never know what might happen. But I think London will stay top. And I think they'll end up with about 4 losses.
Well, yeah. I mean, Patriots, they actually were very close to actually clinching Surrey Scorchers. That was the last game I watched this week. 65-63. It's quite a low scoring game. But it was neck and neck. That was one where they were just 5 points here, 2 points there. There was a little bit of a gap. And then all of a sudden they sort of brought it within, I think, 1 point or 2 points right near the very end. But they just couldn't hold on to it. And that was Surrey Scorchers. So Surrey Scorchers got the win there. But they're in form. They're right. I love their kid.
What's that? 3 and 4?
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, they're doing well. But what's interesting is that was a 63-65 game. And you think some of the top games, you're looking at 90-90. There's just quite a low scoring game, 63-65. A lot of defending going on there. There wasn't a lot of missing. There was a lot of good defending going on. They were very evenly matched, I thought.
We need to go to Surrey. For the listeners, Surrey is the closest arena for us to go and visit. We should go
about 40 or 50 miles thereabouts.
It's like 45 minutes for us to drive there. We should go to that. I'd like to ideally do a live podcast there. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, anyone listening, sorry, hook us up. We'll come down.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I know a few people who might be able to help with that one.
I'm not selling peanuts. I'm not washing dishes.
No, I know. I generally know a few people.
Pulling that card, eh?
So I could
know someone. Don't
worry.
Yeah.
Well, no, I know. I know 3 people.
My dodgy mate
I could approach. But I think that'd be really cool. I'd like to go there and do something with the podcast rather than go there, sit there, and watch a game. I'd like to talk to our audience about the audience and what we're seeing at live,
and talk to the audience there because it's a pretty good crowd from what I'm seeing. And if I'm going to say anything about all of these games, they were all really well attended, and you could see everyone getting really excited about watching the games, and that's really nice to see more than anything else.
Yeah,
it's just a shame that they're spread out so much around the country. You could argue that there's room for like another 5 or 6 teams without even batting an eyelid, really, isn't there? Don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. But I'm going to continue this in a minute because I've actually got a point for you because we've been talking about this and I've actually got something to back it up. I've actually been trying to find a sound effects for my next one. I wanted to do like a car crash.
I haven't put a car crash on there.
Or like, when a record rips.
Noises,
when a record, when you get a record and you get it.
The scratch noise.
Yes, I wanted that. Anyway, I haven't got it, so I'm just going to go for this one.
All right.
And it was at the buzzer when the Manchester Giants and the Plymouth City Patriots had an exciting finish. Do you know what I'm talking about? So this is, I feel a little harsh mentioning his name, but this is where Manchester took on Plymouth. Oh, shoot, where was it? I've lost, I don't know where it was. I've completely lost.
In Manchester.
It was in Manchester. Okay. So, I mean, this is a huge talking point. So, the Giants, but I've just got a complete brain block. Someone was at the line for Manchester.
Yep.
And in his second shot, he misses it. Now, and this is just one of my points here. I did think Taylor Johnson was very physical afterwards. So the shot's just gone up, and it looked like he comes in just shoves someone. I was like, okay. Like, but maybe they're letting that physicality go. And I thought, that's quite cool. Anyway, I think for me it was close, but I didn't focus on that too much. But anyway, the ball ends up with Elvizi Dusha, who has the opportunity to win the game. And it is a layup to win the game.
Oh, yeah.
I will say, look, Dusha, in fairness to Dusha, he did have Evan Walsh flying in. I think he's 77. He had that guy absolutely flying in, and it looked like he actually put up really high on the backboard.
No, choked.
No, it looked like he thought, hang on, this guy's going to come in and absolutely reject it off the backboard. And he threw it up really high, trying to avoid that.
Choke.
That's what it looked like to me.
Choke.
But it kind of just a complete brick, wasn't it?
You could see that it was like a roll, and then as he rolled it off his hand, it was like he'd rolled it too much, and he'd flicked it, hadn't he? And so it just went too far, went too past the white box, and instead of going up and dropping in, it just went up and then over the other side.
But it was as exciting finish as I've seen in the BBL.
Yeah.
What I loved about it was Elvizi Dusha's reaction after he missed the layup. He just kind of turned around and grabs his shirt, and he's just like, "Oh man, I just missed the layup to win the game. Damn it! That was my moment."
But you think again, that's against Manchester Giants.
Great entertainment. But, sorry, before you go on, got to shout out Taylor Johnson for Plymouth. He had 28 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists. So he almost had a double-double. But it was him who did that push on that shot.
But you're talking Manchester, Plymouth, Surrey. All these 3 teams, they're all at the bottom. Some of the more exciting games to watch.
Yeah.
I know it sounds really silly, but you go, all of these games are within 1 or 2 points. Yeah. Or both of these games are between 1 and 2 points. And if you watch them, you think, oh, this is actually like 63-65, you think, low scoring. No, that was a really fun game to watch.
Yeah.
Because you just think they're all going for it. Whereas some of the other ones, 10-point deficit and no chance.
But you know what? I've got to bring his name up. He's just come back. William Lee for Manchester. 18 points and 11 rebounds, Mark. Double.
Was he the guy who he's only come back 2 games far, isn't he?
I think it's his 3rd or 4th game back, something like that. But, hey, he's
missed him, clearly.
He's having an impact, that's for sure. And the Giants then went on to lose to the Leicester Riders 94-97. Sorry, 94-79.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that was a hammering. There's no way around that. That was an absolute hammering. 15-point deficit at the end, and they probably could have stretched that. But when you look at those things, Leicester beating Manchester by 15 points, Newcastle beat Surrey by 13 points. That's where you'd expect them, given where they are on the table. You'd expect them to win by a 10 or so cushion. So when you're seeing some of these other teams, and as you said, London Lions got beaten by 22 from the Eagles, that's, we can't overlook how big that was to win that deficit. Well, I am pretty much out for the NBL this week.
That is shocking. Well, I got one more for you, Mark.
Ooh.
And we've been talking about new teams coming in. And this is a slightly older article that I dug up. But I thought it was really valuable. And I'm going to talk about an interview that was made by Aaron Radine, so CEO of the league, Mark. Okay?
Okay, yeah.
And he was talking about, and what I liked about him, he was talking about he wants the right foundation. These are his words. He wants the right foundations so that new franchises can come in and be successful. But this is one of the things I picked up from the interview. I thought it was really interesting. He said, and I'm quoting him here. Where is the quote? There's not almost a day that goes by that I don't get calls about we want a team in Birmingham, in Cardiff, in Dublin, in Belfast, in Leeds, in Liverpool. So there's lots of interest everywhere. Interesting, the ones he talked about, potential interest in new franchises, Birmingham, Cardiff, Dublin, Belfast, Leeds, Liverpool as candidates. So there's some of the names. But what and this is what I want to finish the point on.
No southern teams there.
Not in that list, he said. But Mark, if Portsmouth keep doing well, never know. You never know. Look, at this point, you probably could argue a couple years back, the Solent Kestrels should maybe have had the opportunity to go to the BBL.
Yep.
I think
if they were in that position and it was this time frame, they probably would have been.
So at the time, a couple of years ago, for anyone who doesn't know, the Solent Kestrels, a Southampton-based team, and they won the NBL Div 1 title 4 years in a row.
So that's the UK's national league, but that's league that are based on grassroots basketball that goes right through to that. And that's
you get relegated, you get promoted. Yeah. So they won Div 1 4 years in a row. They were in cup competitions, taking on these teams.
And beating them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It'd be great to get someone on the show to talk about that and what happened. But I think a lot of it went around the arena. There's a certain criteria that I don't think the Solent Kestrels hit. So they would have to go and build a new arena.
Yeah. The arenas are a big thing.
Is it 700, 800, something like that?
Yeah, and then 1,000 with something else. And if you're in Europe, there's so m00 caveats.
And then I want to say, I don't know, but I reckon that Solent home court would get
500.
400 easily. Maybe 450, 500. That they might even have fire regs that say...
Oh, there'll be safety regs. There'll be your building regs. That's the one thing that we don't have over here in the UK is having the space in the cities, because let's be honest, it's all city based. All of these, they're all urbanized. That's where basketball lives. It doesn't, you're not driving out to the country to do it.
Yeah, you we don't have space at all. You take, I guess, the UK and take it as an image and plonk it on America.
Yeah.
It's what? The size of Florida? Yeah. So, but yeah. Anyway, so the point I want to end on, and this is really promising, which was, he said, I'm hoping that all of that, the new teams, come sooner rather than later. I'm very impatient in that regard, but we want to have that foundation in place, and we already know that there's the demand.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's great. It's from the little interviews I've seen with him, and obviously, Aaron, if you're listening, we'd love to chat with you. It sounds like the way that they're proposing with the BBL is very much it's a product. And because it's a product, they want to be careful about how they're controlling the media, controlling the image, the way it's presented, and turning it into something. So, the NBA is a product. And because of that, it's really good that they're being thoughtful about it. The downside is, yes, there is demand for it, but is that demand from actual customers and fans, or is that demand for businesses that want to be involved in it? And that's the question you've got to look at. Because it's easy to find someone and say, hey, do you want to buy a team, or do you want to host a team or something? But who's going to get the fans there, and what is the local appetite for it? So that's where you've got to be looking at those sort of things, which would be interesting. But
there you go, Mark.
It's positive news.
It's going to happen, but I get it. They don't want someone coming in and then 3 years later go, oh, we're out.
And they'll be doing this. This is all private funded. So that's the advantage you have. You're not going to have any government involvement here. They won't be using Basketball England or GB, any sport stuff like that, because it's a privately funded product at the end of the day. So
well, it looks like it's coming.
That'd
Matter
be great.
of time. Right. Over to the NBA.
Oh, can I start? No, it's not. It's horrible news.
Oh, okay.
No, we haven't got a horrible news one.
Okay.
Do the buzzer. Do the horrible buzzer. Calling time on Mark Cuban.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't even write that down as a note. Yeah. He's
That's why I'm not wearing the Mavs hat today.
Wow.
I'm sulking.
But he
$3.5 billion.
And he bought it for what?
255 billion or something. Million.
But my understanding is he's still going to be part of the franchise.
So this is the weird thing. He's selling his majority shareholding, but he is still going to be in full control of all basketball operations.
There you go.
I don't know if I'd want to do that.
Well, he does.
Oh, of course he does. He's getting his meal ticket and they're saying carry on running it. And the people who are buying it are the people who own the Sands Casino. Or the lady who was buying it was the widow of the gentleman who set up the Sands Casinos and the casino group and stuff. So 3.5 billion.
Yeah, he's done well. I can't feel too sorry for someone who's getting 3.5 billion.
I mean, I feel sorry that he won't be that leverage in the organisation, because yes, you can get.
He's a great character, isn't he?
He's one of the ones who voted lots of things that were positive when a lot of the other people were saying, no, let's go for the money. He's like, no, think of the players, think of the fans, he just seems like he's got his head screwed on. And if he's selling up, if he is running operations, it still means he's not, the fact that the NBA had to make a rule just because they were worried he was going to run on the court and sub himself in, that tells you everything you need to know about him. Because you 100% would do that as well.
Yeah, I would.
I mean, look, everyone said, he bought the Mavs and then he, won the ring. It's like, well, hang on a minute. He bought the Mavs in like 2000 when he sold his company. So he sold his company and made billions from that. Then he bought the Mavs. And then he was there for 11 years before they won that ring. So, he's done 23 years there. That's a fair old tenure. So fair play to him. But that's big news for the league. You think Jordan sold his shares?
Yeah, he did all right as well.
Yeah, he's done all right. Now Cuban's selling his. It's a matter of time before someone else starts knocking around the money. And especially if they're talking about having expansion teams in places like Vegas and Seattle.
Well, I genuinely think it would be a good idea to do an episode on Cuban. Let's do an episode, and you can talk about Mark Cuban for a whole episode.
Yeah, 100%. Wonder what would he do if he took that money and put a team in Seattle or Las Vegas? He's the sort of nutter to do that as well.
Maybe that's what he's doing.
Oh, that would be amazing. I wouldn't leave Mavs, but that would be cool.
Well, some might say you're not a true fan, Mark. So if you're not going to the Super Science. But let's do it. Let's do an episode on Mark Cuban.
Yeah, why
so
not?
you set up, you get all that info and tell us the story.
Oh, yeah.
Right, so let's talk about NBA Cup update. Now, I think what we're going to do, we're going to do an NBA Cup update. I'm not saying the other name. It sucks.
NBA what?
Balls. I am not saying it. So
the in-season tournament, ladies and gentlemen.
The in-season tournament. It's the NBA Cup. Anyway, so I think the plan is we're actually going to do a longer episode about this coming up this week. Is that?
That's right.
Okay. So let's just do a really brief update then. So the actual
the 8 teams have been picked.
The group stage is now complete. So we have our Eastern Conference 4, which is the Milwaukee Bucks, the Indiana Pacers, the Boston Celtics, and the wild card is the New York Knicks. Western Conference, we have the Los Angeles Lakers, the Sacramento Kings, the Pelicans, and the wild card for the West is the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah.
Now, what I would really want to highlight, and then I'll go and we'll forget about this, is let's just go to the Eastern Conference. The Eastern Conference came down to points between 3rd place and 7th place. So Cleveland, Orlando Magic, and the Nets all could have got those places, but Celtics and the Knicks claimed it.
And that was against Miami, wasn't it? The game against Miami.
It's right at the end, yeah. And then not as close in the West. The Minnesota Timberwolves had an opportunity, and they missed out again, just on points. So before we...
But one of them, I can't remember which one off the top of my head, but actually they were out. And when they won, because they won, they drew level, and it was their points difference that put them into it.
Points make.
I think that was. I want to say that was Sacramento, but I'm not sure.
I think that's why it's exciting, because the points make a difference.
Yeah, because then there's lots of teams now on like 2 wins and 2 losses, or 3 wins and 1 loss, and suddenly you go, oh, I need that points difference, and that's what kept them in and kicked them out. Yeah. Because they said, I've won this. Okay, great, you've won it, which now makes us even. But my points difference is still too low, so now I've been binned off. I mean, look, Dallas got knocked straight out.
Yeah, so the Western quarterfinals, you're going to see the Los Angeles Lakers take on the Phoenix Suns. The other quarterfinal is the Sacramento Kings taking on the Pelicans. And can I just stop for a moment and just say, the Kings kit is quality. That blue kit, I love it.
Really?
I love it. It looks old school. I absolutely bloody love that kit. Blue kit with like a white stripe going down the side that says Kings. Absolutely fantastic kit. Whoever came up with that deserves pay rise.
It's definitely one of the less offensive ones.
Oh, I really like it. Really like it. Anyway, from the East, the Indiana Pacers are taking on the Boston Celtics, and Milwaukee Bucks are going to be taking on New York Knicks. So tune in very soon, because we're going to be having an episode just about that. And I think it deserves it. It definitely deserves it.
What would you say now, if from what we know and we've seen of the in-season tournament, would you say it works for the NBA? Like,
I love it. I love it. I just like the passion. It's, it's elevating the games to having, these like double header kind of games. It's, putting more on the line. And you can see it in the play. I mean, you can't tell me that you didn't watch the Golden State Warriors taking on Sacramento Kings, that last 5 minutes of those games, and tell me that wasn't an exciting game.
No.
I mean, the Warriors must be absolutely livid. I think at the end, with 1 minute left, at halftime, they were winning 72-48.
Yeah.
They lost 123-124.
I mean,
that is exciting basketball.
It is exciting basketball, and it's what's interesting is the teams that are doing well in the league are not necessarily the teams that are doing well in the cup, and that's what I find is very interesting. Mavs are doing okay in the league, but they just bombed straight out of the cup because they didn't put enough weight behind.
No
those
one
games.
cares about the Mavs. No one cares.
Wash your dirty mouth out.
Right.
But those things, I mean, you just mentioned Orlando. Orlando's on the longest winning streak they've ever had since 2011, believe it or not. You know, think of that. And that's Orlando Magic.
Orlando Magic. Orlando Magic. Right. Next point. Oh, my mic went there, Mark.
It went taxi.
Went goodbye. I know we're running out of time, and I've got 3 points left, and we're not going to get through all 3 points.
Do them.
I'm not going. I don't have enough time to do them all. Right. I don't know what. Let's go for this. I feel I have to be very careful and with the words I use. So I'm not hearing too much about Josh Giddey. So this is the Thunder Guard. And wow, it feels like this room just got really, really quiet.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know what? I'm just going to say he is being questioned for an inappropriate relationship with a minor.
Yeah. And
again, I will say this is all things that are being put on social media. And the only thing that kind of jumps out to me is, why is this not being talked about more in the media? That's one of the huge things that jumped out to me. Like, you got Ja Morant, you know, is in a car with his mate and holds a gun real quick. Yeah. He is slammed. Absolutely goes mental. Okay. I'm not condoning that behavior at all, but the league jump on him straight away. Kyrie Irving, he'll put posts out, you know, for whatever view he has. He is slammed by the NBA. Josh Giddey, they're talking about potential inappropriate relationship with a minor. Tumbleweed. Silence. And I can't help and feeling there is, I'm trying to think of the right word. The relationship feels different when you've got certain characters, certain ethnicities, and it's being represented differently.
Yeah. To be honest, I saw it as a headline and almost ignored it. I just thought,
what an idiot.
If that's real, idiot. If it's not real, then it is what it is. But until something comes out, I just don't think anyone could. I think it highlights a bigger problem, and it's that if someone is being like that, that's no good.
Well, he isn't. If I mean, these are all allegations.
Exactly, and you know,
and that's the thing.
That's the problem. Is that something like that comes out. If it is true, that's bad. But if it's not true, that's also bad, because someone's just basically
affects him.
Someone's just lit a petrol bomb and thrown it on his career, because you just suddenly go, oh, okay, everyone's going to just associate that with them. He's going to have that moniker now, even if that's not true. So that's why I won't say I don't distance myself, and I'm not interested in reading stuff like that. But if someone says this is what happened, and I think that's maybe the difference between that and with Morant, it was like, here's a video of him doing it. You can't really.
Oh, well, what Kyrie posts a link online or has some view, and he is absolutely slammed. This guy, you know, this is serious. If this is, I think, and I could be wrong, I don't understand American law, so this was just me briefly looking it up, but if the allegations are true, you know, he's looking at like 3 to 20 years.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Like, and if that, look, the bottom line is, if that's true, throw him away.
Yeah.
But there's no way of, at the moment, that's just something that's come out. I mean,
yeah, I you know, I think where the media might be being quiet is because
they don't know.
They don't have facts.
No, exactly.
And they're saying, well, when we see evidence, then they can. I'm not just talking about that, but other things. When they see, okay, this guy just punched him in the face. That's fact. That's evidence.
Exactly.
I think this probably is all going to come down to: is this girl going to speak? If she doesn't speak, then I don't know where the evidence comes from. I don't know.
No, and more to the point, it's why did it come out in the first place? If it's not actually anything that's happened, then it is or it isn't, and it just seems. I guess all of these. If you think there's just under 500 players in the NBA, if you think how many professional sports people there are all around the world, the NBA doesn't actually have many professionals. So,
yeah. But you know what? There was an interesting interview going back. It was an Aussie. It was another Aussie. But he was talking about
like Stephen Adams and stuff like that.
Oh, I can't remember. I found it. But he was talking about the subject. And he brought up, brought up something. And people went, hang on, that was like a year, 2 years ago. Okay, so this isn't the first time. So I don't know. There's all conjecture at the moment.
Yeah.
And we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, I just felt someone needed to highlight that opinion that I feel the NBA should treat all their players, coaches, whatever, in the same harshness, no matter what.
Oh yeah, that goes without saying. Yeah,
and it just feels.
I think it's purely because
a little bit skewed one side at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know any information. I don't know if there's any facts. So if there are facts, they may be trying to damage control. I don't know.
Oh, it's terrible for the league if it is, but well, let's see. Anyway,
look, you say that, but at the same time, if you want terrible for the league, one person being an a-hole, that's bad enough. Just roll back a couple of years when LeBron said some really inappropriate things about a whole country and about China, and the amount of money that they lost out of the NBA investment-wise was like billions.
But did they jump on LeBron as soon as he said something?
Come on.
Exactly. That's my point. That's the point I'm making.
Of course they didn't. They were like slap him on the wrist, but it's LeBron.
The only thing I can think of is they're waiting to go, okay, right, these are the hardcore facts. Now we're going to make our point. That's what I hope they do.
Well, yeah, either which way. And either they're going to be like...
either way.
These are not, so we'll stand by him, or this is our, and we'll help you throw him in a dungeon.
So,
with alligators.
It was
burn him.
A little bit of I wasn't sure whether to bring that up or not, a little bit uncomfortable when you're talking about that kind of thing. But
sucks news.
Yeah. So,
right, have you got any other news to leave it on a high note?
Yeah, I have.
Just do it.
Oh man, it feels like a real low one tonight.
Do it.
But
yeah, because that sucks. That was a crap comment.
Shout out to Greg Popovich, who tells off the home court Spurs fans.
God, that was worse.
Stop booing.
That was almost worse.
I'll tell you what, it takes some testicular fortitude to go and grab the announcer's microphone and go, hey, give this guy a break.
I understand where he comes from. This guy won you guys a chip. Like, why are you booing him? But at the same time...
he's playing for the other team.
He plays for the other team.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, if you've seen the interview with Tom Brady where they were like, oh, do you hang out with your teammates? He goes, no. Like, I literally sit there and I'm looking across the table like, making stories up that the other person on the other team has said like really offensive stuff about my family or anything. And he's like, and I'm there wanting to hate them, and I'm like, I'm going to kill them when I get on the pitch. Like he said, that's
on
why
the pitch.
Yeah, that's what Tom Brady does. He's like, I build up this image of what the other players are like on the opposite team, so that I am using all my anger on the pitch. So you go,
is that what Kawhi Leonard's doing it?
No, but if you think of any person who plays for an opposing team to the one you support, why would you be like, oh yeah, I'll give you a cheer? And it's like, and at the end of the day, yes, they do give some players claps. Like someone comes back to, I think they did that with, say, like Garnett went back to Minnesota. Everyone gave him a cheer and stuff. That's fine, because he was reasonably beloved, and he did a lot for the city. Kawhi did help them win a championship, but he wasn't beloved. and the way in which he left didn't sit well for the fans, so why would they not boo him? And at the end of the day, more the point, they've paid their money to go watch that and do
it's
what the
part
hell
of
they
the sport, isn't it? You got an opposing player, you're going to get it.
And
you're
that,
going to get it.
unfortunately, made him look really out of touch because he made him look like, oh no, but I won a chip with Kawhi. It's like, no one cares.
I think what he said is I felt really sorry for him because he goes, we used to do like videos and talk about them.
He can use the dollar bills to wipe the tears away. I'm sure he'll be
you
all
go
right
and
with that.
say that to, back in the 80s, like Larry Bird, like, oh, right, okay, we're going to be nice to a guy because he's just gone to another team. No, or the bad boys, whatever you want to talk about. Like they're not doing that. But
I think he overstepped. That's my
But I loved it. And you got
hilarious.
You got to shout out to Pop. Is he the only coach in NBA history to grab?
Never seen that.
Steals
Never
the
seen
announcer's microphone and just starts communicating to the crowd. I don't know.
Ludicrous.
He maybe is the only coach in history that's got to go in the history books.
Yeah, I think he exposed himself there. Showed his sign of aging. Yeah.
Well, he showed a sign of aging, but his greatness shone through. He became...
How are the Spurs doing, by the way? They suck. They suck at the moment. They're just doing really badly. So, not all that great coaching, even though they've got the best rookie, apparently, and all this stuff.
Well, I mean, I don't want to go on about that guy, but it's... He looks good. Closing out in the fourth is the thing I picked up on. And when you talk about rookies, you got to you can't judge him. He's only just joined the league, and you can't judge him on titles.
No.
Steph Curry took 6 years before he won a title. LeBron was 9 years, MJ 7, Shaq 8 years. So, I don't think.
Everyone puts a lot of pressure on it.
Yeah.
And I think it's actually quite a shame now that that's the one thing that the MJs in this world never had to have. They didn't have all the social media that was just non-stop and everywhere. But, anyway, we're going to do another thing about that big inaugural NBA in-season tournament. And we're going to talk about it a bit more because it's coming into the quarterfinals. But thank you for listening to this episode. If you haven't listened to the other episodes, go back, check them out. We've got some really good bangers out there at the moment. But until next time, I've been Mark.
I have been Paul. And if you play badminton, you suck!